time for us to kick off our show for today. Wonderful. So, good morning and welcome to She Speaks for today. It's a beautiful day. It's the 18th day in the month of March, and we are here. Outside is gorgeous. It's beautiful. We are live. We're breathing. We've got that precious gift, and it's definitely something to be grateful for. It's Tuesday, and it's around 10:30, and you know what that means? It means we've got an amazing St. Lucian woman in our seat sharing their life journey with us, with the hope and the aim of inspiring. And boy, I have no doubt this morning is going to be a very inspiring one. So I want to definitely acknowledge our partners, the First National Bank, for being on board with us, continuing to support the vision. We appreciate you. We're definitely going to take a word from them. Like I said, we are live on our Facebook. That's the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And we're also live on YouTube. So you can head on over there. But if you're on the move and you can't, well, we understand and we respect that. You could stay tuned via the frequency or on the website, and you could stay listening to the audio of this program this morning. But we need to take a word from our partner, the First National Bank. And when we come back, our guest, Miss or Mrs. Hyacinth Dorleon. No, I don't know the last surname, but it's a Mrs. But we'll be back. And this is the moment. This is where I introduce you to my guest for today. Of course, Mrs. Hyacinth Dorleon is a monitoring, evaluation, research, and learning consultant from St. Lucia. She doesn't reside here now, but she is definitely from here. And this is where you get to meet her. Let's get right up there and add her to the screen. Well, hello and good morning.
Good morning,
Good
good morning,
morning. Good
Mareen.
morning. Oh God, what an opportunity, what a pleasure, what a blessing this morning to be able to have you present on the show this morning. I am honored.
It is certainly a pleasure and an honor to be on your show as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Listen, we have a lot. I don't know how we fitting it into that half an hour, but I know you're capable because I mean, as an educator for so long, you have mastered the art of finding. You did it with my kids. You simplify things and put them down in this, and then they were able to grasp it and run and become very successful. So I know that's your skill set. So we're gonna make it work. We gotta kick up first with I think I did host you here
Let's see how
before.
that goes.
It will. It happens. Um, let's kick off first. I think I did have you on the show a very, very long time ago. And I think it was, a lot was happening then. So I think it's time for us to reintroduce you to the She Speaks audience. Now we're gonna go back to Monrepo. We're taking it right the way down there because as a child, that's where you were birthed. You were birthed and groomed in that little village of Monrepo. So let's go on back down there and tell me about it.
Yeah, so I come from very humble beginnings, which I appreciate very much because I think for um, a great part of who I am, it really nurtured, my character. So I am from the beautiful community of La Puette Monoripo.
Oh, mother.
It's a community that I hold dear to my heart, and no matter where I go, I always say that I am from La Puette. The people are very hospitable. You still have that spirit of volunteerism that we're missing in society today.
Mhm.
And I think for the most part, the habits that our for parents handed down to us in terms of good manners,
Yes.
discipline, and those core values, the fruits of the spirit. A lot of those people from my generation, they still have those core values, and these are the values that we use to raise our children. Values that are missing in society today. So yes, I grew up playing cricket in the road, and walking barefoot, and played all of those Creole games, and appreciating the moonlight and all of those beautiful things that the current generation is missing.
Oh gosh. And listen, we have a whole conversation on another setting to talk about how it is we can make a difference in that regard. But fast forward to you getting into the field of education, because you've been an educator and a youth activist for over 30 years. You take on some of these those vital role that was instilled in you from the childhood, and you carried it into the career. Let's talk about you getting into the education field.
Okay, so as far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to be of service to people, and teaching was not my first choice.
Mhm.
But when I got the opportunity to become a teacher, I realized that it fitted right into, what I wanted to do at that particular point in my life.
Right.
And I would like to thank my first principal, Mrs. Agatha Shallery, who embraced me, and the Pastures Combined School at that time. It's now One Repo Pastures Combined, but it
Mhm.
was then Pastures Combined School, and the whole staff embraced me. And Mrs. Shallery just allowed me to use my creativity and my love for people, to do my thing. And I must say that this opportunity really taught me who I was, my strengths and my weaknesses, and um, my students. They were just like my very own children. That's how I saw them.
Yeah.
So the same values that I wanted to inculcate in my two sons, these are the values that I also wanted to inculcate in my students. But um, one of the things that it brought out was my research skills and my need to have evidence um, to determine how I move forward. So, for instance, if I noticed that my students were not performing well in a particular area, I would not just assume that X was the reason. I would delve into and find out, what was causing this, and how can I, change
Mhm.
whatever is causing it so that I can improve their performance. So very early in my teaching, I used a lot of the creativity and the skills, well, the talents that God had given to me. So my research skills, and just wanting to improve the lives of my students. And one of my missions was to ensure that every child in my class performed at his or her best. But in order for each child to perform at his or best, I had to know that child intimately. What was affecting the child? How could I change what was affecting that child? So that child now could, maximize his or her potential. And so, as a teacher, it was very important that I got to know the parents as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and so every parent knew what was happening with Miss Dorleon's class.
Mhm.
Um, every parent knew what was happening with his or her child, you know.
Mhm.
And I also taught my students how to interact better, with their parents, so that it's not just about the child, but it's also about meeting the needs of the parents.
Let me just interject here for a minute. Your approach was not always met it with open arms at first. I know it, and from my personal being around you, I know that even some of the probably some of the people you worked alongside as well did not really understand your approach. Sometimes you got a few little hiccups here and there because they did not really understand or they didn't have appreciation for your approach. I mean, everybody thought you were trying to show up, when you were just doing what you were passionate about, and they were starting to look inefficient, and then it started to become an issue. And I remember, how grateful I was, because when it was time for my kids to be assessed, and because when we were thinking they were having issues there, and you came in and you applied this so seamlessly, and the kids just we just saw a total transformation. And I said, this lady is in the wrong place. I just remember time I said, no, she's in the wrong place. I mean, in the classroom, yes, she's effective, but you know what? She has no reason to be in this classrooms. She had to be at the higher level where she could actually, instill policies that's going to change the way that it is done holistically. And I remember saying this to you, and your approach, you kept at it because you was the passion in you. You keep going and you keep doing it because it was the passion in you, and your focus was ensuring you didn't care what was happening around you. Your mission was to ensure these kids that were under your watch would succeed. And that was so admirable at the time. I noticed this. I witnessed this with you, and that was admirable. Fast forward now to moving on from eventually you decide you're going to move on. I remember you taking it up and you say, listen, I'm going to study. I'm getting that scholarship and I'm going to study. So now you are a proud graduate of Harvard, Oxford University.
University.
I remember you were, and you are so inspiring in terms of, I have to say this to you because it's only when I say it to you. I don't want you to just say it. I want to be able to share what I have on you as well, so persons can understand the in-depth of the personality. I remember you keep pushing yourself at all costs. You never stop. You never stop to say, and get comfortable and say, well, okay, I've reached the mark. And, you say there's always room. And you said, listen, I'm going to get this. and you
Yes.
and you kept going at it. And then when you got when you graduated from Oxford, it was a different spin now for you. And I remember you coming back home, and that is where you started to do what I thought you should have been doing. You started to work in a different capacity, where you started to influence more of things. And some of the projects that you've worked on, of course, you're going to tell us, and when you implemented stuff that worked throughout the OECS. And I want us to go in some of these projects as well. Was it the Sky
Yes,
project?
Sky was one
Right.
of them.
Was one
Yes.
of them. And that's just one. Now let's
Yes.
talk about when you came back and getting into that position of being able to use your skill set, um, having done the research and understand that it worked, and being able to implement it at a higher level for the education system. How was that?
Hmm.
That's a big
To be,
but you know what?
yes,
It's
yes,
fine.
yes,
It's
yes.
fine. Let's talk.
To be honest, so first I'm going to go back to this. I'm the type of person who believes in doing, not just talking.
Yeah.
And I always used to tell my students that they have to allow their work to speak for itself.
Absolutely.
And this is the same thing that. So I didn't just tell them, but I live the example. So when I returned to the Ministry of Education, of course, I had all of those ideas that I wanted to implement it, but we know the bureaucracies.
Yeah.
We know the bureaucracies at work, and nepotism in the workplace, and seniority effect that allow that do not necessarily allow you to leverage what you know to benefit the organization. However, I was smart about it. Whenever I go into an organization, the first thing I attempt to do is to see how I can improve organizational practices. And this is what I did. There was a lot of data sitting around at the
Mhm.
different departments, especially the examination unit,
Mhm.
analyze this data and, design some strategic plans which I felt would work for the education sector and St. Lucia as a whole. Of course, I got some pushback um, from this, but it eventually got to where it needed to, and that was in the hands of the Minister for Education, who was quite pleased with what I had done. And one of the things I created was a revised school model for St. Lucia, which actually showed the pathway for TVET in school. So, now that I'm seeing that my dream, it's been actualized, even if I am not,
Yes,
formally in the education system, but, it is something that I worked on with love, hoping to see fruits one day. And now I am beginning to see the fruits. So I am very thankful for that, even if I am not the person spearheading it.
absolutely. Right. Is that the sky thing? Is fall under this the same purview? The sky? Is that what we're talking about? What is the sky?
No, but Sky did address part of it. So Sky Skills for Youth Employment in the Caribbean, it was
Mm-hmm.
funded by DFID, which is a department in the UK for international development. And the whole purpose of Sky was to provide training for over 6,000 disadvantaged youth
Mm-hmm.
in the OECS. And for me, the biggest aspect of it was the fact that there was a concentration on improving the lives of persons with disabilities, because we
Oh,
know how easy it is for those persons to be forgotten.
yes.
And I saw these young people come to life, just the fact that they were given a chance to do something. And I realized that they are differently abled, but they are not disabled.
Right.
The same dreams that persons without disabilities have, they also have those dreams. As long as the accommodations can be provided for them to thrive, they will engage. They will work hard. And one example is Chance Paul, right? In St. Lucia. You
Oh, I
know,
love Chance. Chance is
yes,
amazing. I met him. Oh, he's brilliant. Chance
yes,
is
yes.
brilliant. Oh gosh, he's a darling. What? Chance have a lot of dreams.
He
He
does. He does.
does.
And he's working towards achieving them.
Yes, he's
I
very, very
remember he contacted me and he said, "Can you get me an interview?" And then I contacted you, and
yes.
you granted him his wish. Thank you so much, Mareen.
Oh God, he
Thank
is.
you
I
for
mean,
the
he's
work that
amazing.
you're
I
doing.
wish I could get a follow up with Chance. So you probably need to work on that. Chance is amazing. Now, where are you at right now? Well, we get into the book in a minute because
Yes.
you just recently put out your very own first publication. And trust me, if there's anybody best to put that publication together was you, because watching you as a mother of two boys, two strong-willed boys at that, and knowing how how you the manner in which you grew them up, the principles you instilled in them, even when it became a certain point where the devil tried to step in, those values stood strong, and these
Mhm.
gentlemen have grown into just that now. Awesome gentlemen, contributing vitally to the environment, and this is so beautiful to look at. So the book is definitely around that. But in terms of the education system, in terms of your passion of what it is you like to see within that sector, or on a whole, where would you like to see us as a people, and how it is that your expertise can even more so pour back into it? What are some of the, are you thinking along that line? Are you okay, this is not for me, let me go into my author and do this, and go into my painting and do something different now? Where are you at?
No, no. I mean, I am still very much involved in the
Okay.
education system. My dream for the education system is that um, it really educates. For me, right now, we're doing a lot of schooling where there is a lot of conformity. We are
Mhm.
just churning out a lot of young people who cannot think critically, who cannot think for themselves. They are dependent on other people. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go get a degree, but when I return, I want the government to offer me a job instead of thinking of entrepreneurship and innovation. So I wanted to be an education system that is very responsive to the needs of the 21st century. So, yes, there is a curriculum to guide what is taught in schools, but how does that curriculum really fit into um, the understanding of everyday life and what employers need? Because the fact is, everybody will not become an entrepreneur. A significant number of people will be employed by employers, but employers are looking for profitability and how they can maintain their competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And when you listen to employers, and that's one of the results that we got from the research that I conducted, the baseline study for Sky, that a lot of employers are complaining that graduates do not have the requisite skills for the workplace, to be productive and effective. So I want our curriculum to be able to address that aspect. Not only employers' needs, but what about the holistic development of the individuals in terms of moral values?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
we have so many of our young people who just seem to be going astray, and they have this sense of entitlement.
Entitlement.
Yes, people have to do for them, and then if people don't do for them, then they turn on you and that sort of thing. Where are they getting that sense of entitlement, and how should we deal with that sense of entitlement?
Right. You are so correct, because in our time growing up, we had a little disadvantage, or we had a little bit, we didn't see it as a mean to just become bad, or to say, well, oh, you wouldn't do that for me, or nobody's doing for me, so I'm going to become that on that person, and show you that that's the result of you not pouring into me. We back then, when we had a challenge, or we had a setback, or we had a deficiency, for want of a better term, in terms of what we didn't have access to, it served as a catapult. It's like we wanted to push ourselves to ensure that we got it, by any means. But somehow now it's once they get a little discomfort, it throws them off totally, as opposed to giving
Yes.
them the boost to say, well, all right, you set them forward and say, well, let me go after it. They don't have a go-getter attitude at all. It's very, very entitled.
Yes, yes, and so the perseverance is lacking, and let me tell you, some of the greatest leaders failed so many times,
Yeah.
but they did not remain down. They picked themselves up and went at it again until they
Absolutely.
succeeded.
Absolutely. So we, like you said, well, the research has to be done again to figure out where the entitlement mindset is coming from, and how it is, because definitely it came from somewhere. A whole bulk of our children can be walking around so entitled. We somebody dropped the ball somewhere. So we
Yes.
got to figure out where that is, and get back on track. Now let's get to the book. You have got your new publication. It is out. Tell us everything we need to know about it, because I know you're very, very excited about this, and of course, as you should be. So tell us about the book. What does it cover? What is the title of the book? What do you hope for persons who picks up a copy and reads, what you want them to walk away with?
Okay, so it's entitled Parenting Realistically, A Guide to Healthy Parenting. In this book, I am bringing in insights that I call wisdom based on my own experiences with my son. And so the book begins with some insight on the importance of self-awareness, because who one is will determine one's actions.
Yeah.
It's going to determine what you pour into your child. And what you pour into your child now will shape that child's character. Now, if what you have to pour in that child is negative, like aggression, okay, and that sense of entitlement, then this is what is going to manifest.
Absolutely.
However, if you pour positively into this child, then most likely, we have all of those other factors that can influence how our children turn out. But if you
Absolute.
keep on pouring positively in this child, most likely the manifestation will be positive. So I start off with I start off with self-awareness, and in this chapter, I wanted to um, highlight the importance of speaking life into our children rather than death, because we use our tongues to kill our children and we do not know. Because if I keep on telling you, you are a no gooder, you will end up doing being nothing, you will end up in the prison. If we are to do some sort of research, a lot of the young people who are delinquent, later on in their lives, they become incarcerated and repeated offenders. Somebody, and most likely it was a parent or both, who was speaking death into their life. And so it became reality, because the mind, is this funny thing. The more I hear something, the more I begin to believe it, even if that is not what I am.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then the book looks at another chapter looks at purpose. What is the purpose? What is the reason I was created for? So first I'm looking at God's purpose for your life, and then using God's purpose now to guide every other purpose in your life. Goal setting and the importance of setting goals for yourself as an individual, setting goals for yourself as a parent, and setting goals for your children. Then I look at the inner genius. Everybody has an inner genius, but do we know that we have it? And what do I mean by inner genius? Then I move into um, the habits of healthy parenting. And some of them are taking responsibility, not playing favorites, which is one of the sins that we commit. So no favoritism, investing in your child.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Absolutely. That's fine.
Invested in your child, being emotionally present. Okay, because a lot of us, so I speak a lot about absentee parents and that sort of thing. But I think one of the major differences between my book and other books is that not only am I using a lot of examples to explain what I'm talking about, but I also have the interactive activities to actually guide present parents and people who are hoping to be parents as well, guide them along that journey of becoming a better parent, a good parent. And apart from the act, so there is a journal at the back of the book in which I removed some of the activities that I have in the main section of the book, and I have them at the back simply because I wanted to give the reader more space for reflection. So after you've gone through that activity, what are your thoughts? And I have some guiding questions. But even even more importantly is that I am giving the caution that a lot of what you are going to read may make you uncomfortable. But just because it makes you uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try and you
Right.
shouldn't try
Yes.
to. So,
Yes.
for instance, one of the things that I'm speaking about is us just inheriting the parenting practices from our foreparents without examining what aspects were good practices and what aspects are damaging our children.
Wow. Oh, this sounds quite complete. You know what? Where can we get copies? Is it out? Amazon? Where we getting it? Is it out there yet, or when can we expect it?
Okay, so Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Zolon Press. It will be out on April 14th. Um, the hard copies, but ebooks should be out later this week or next week.
Right. And we're looking for again, um, the principles of parenting. What are we looking for?
Parenting realistically, a
Right.
guide to healthy parenting.
By Hyacinth Dorleon.
Yes.
Right. I hope. Listen, we need to put that up somewhere so we can get it right. Absolutely. Now, Miss Hyacinth, we have come to the end of the show. It's now 11. I'm just going to open the floor for you. If there's any word of encouragement, any little bit of inspiration you want to or motivation you want to send to our viewers and our listeners, I'll give you the opportunity to do so now.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity, Mareen. Parenting does matter, okay, and good parenting at that. It is very important that we invest quality time in our children. We
Mhm.
want to ensure that we leave them an inheritance and a legacy, so that they can be good citizens to the world. And when I speak of inheritance, I'm not speaking about material things. I am
Mm-hmm.
speaking about the qualities that will give
Yes.
them good character. So, inculcating morals and values from very early, because I can tell you, sometimes we don't believe it, but whilst they're in the womb, the
Mm-hmm.
character is already being formed.
Shapes,
So
yeah.
don't think that whilst they, when they're out of the womb, sometimes very, very young, they test you and they look at the codes of conduct that are important. So it is very important that we are present for our children. So we need to avoid burnout, okay, which makes us emotionally unavailable.
Unavailable.
And when we are emotionally unavailable, our children turn to other people they think are emotionally available. But we know that there's a lot of evil lurking out there. And the advice, that we would have given them, the guidance and so on, that's not necessarily what they will get. And many times it's a little too late when we
That's,
notice what is happening.
oh my.
So, I'm just hoping that this book will spark a global conversation on what healthy parenting is, what it looks like, the impact on our children, in an effort to save our children.
Oh, well said. Miss Hyacinth, like I said, what an honor it was. I mean, this conversation could have gone on long and long, but we did it. We actually got some good substance in the half hour, so we did well. Just like I knew you could have done. So thank you so much again for sharing with us this morning all of these amazing inspiration, your journey. Thank you for, your stellar character that always seeks to, bring the very best out of young people. And, it continues to stand firm because I myself, my kids have benefited from that. They are grateful. Diamond was like, oh, when she saw the flyers, like, oh, that's I said, Admo was the same thing. And these two kids you have impacted in so many ways. And this is just two. There's so many other persons out there. Terry Atkins is on my platform. Oh yes, she's an amazing woman. Big up you, higher. I'm getting the vibes are coming. People are sending in their messages. So certainly your impact to date has been stellar, and I'm sure it will continue to be that once we've got the privilege of having you around us. We know that just what you do, and we appreciate that. We thank God for you, and we continue to wish you all of the very best. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day and the rest of the week.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maureen. I would just like to say one more thing. Oh, and
Sure.
Terry is my nephew, but I will be hosting some master classes. I will
Oh,
be hosting some master classes for healthy parenting, but I will let you
nice.
know. It would be hosted on Eventbrite. So
Oh,
I will
this is
send you the
beautiful.
information.
Oh, all right. Well, you let me know when that is, and that will be something that we could definitely, yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. Let's hope now we can get the parents, to come on board. And sometimes we don't even understand certain little tips that we need. And I think that's where it's had to start. We've got to be willing to want to learn. I'm saying, we don't have all of the answers, and sometimes a little tweaking, a little
Yes.
somebody can pour a little into us. So thank you again, and we look forward to that. Keep me updated on this as well. All right. All the best. Bye bye.
Thank
Ah.
you so much. Yes. Bye-bye.
Awesome. So there you have it, guys. Miss Hyacinth Dorleon, of course, was our guest today on the She Speaks show. And what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guest she is. Go check out her book. Please go check out the book. I have all confidence in it. Trust me, I've had the privilege of interacting with this lady, and this lady is Stella. I mean, she understands. She's been gifted. That's all I could put it. She has a gifting in that regard, in terms of being able to simplify things. Doing the research. She can pick up on things that you, the normal mind ego, just decipher, and she is able to use it and utilize it into the spaces that she needs to create the changes in, and that's a gift. And she acknowledged it as a gift as well. So that's my time with you for now. I'll be back at 2 together with Playing HD, but Hyper D is next, so stay locked on. That was, of course, our She Speaks show, brought to you with the compliments of the First National Bank, and we appreciate them.